Welcome to Big Pick 4, the show where the NFL picking experts, Danny D and Brian B, give you the best four picks for NFL Sunday games to include the guarantees, the big Danny D guarantee, and the big Brian B guarantee. The Boo is sound asleep in bed, being himself, which translates to lazy.
Yeah, that's him.
I don't want to go in the city.
Yeah, it might be too exciting. Might be stuff going on.
Well, I know he's not putting any effort towards making NFL picks.
No, well.
Hence the 0-4 week last week. What happened there?
A little stupidity, a little bad luck. The Dallas one, I really thought that they would handle the Giants a little better than they did, and that didn't work.
Lost by a half point on that.
Yeah. Cincinnati had never won in Houston against the Texans. They'd been like 0-5, including playoffs. So I really thought Houston was going to win. But we didn't find out till after the game. Ryan Mount played the whole game with a torn pectoral muscle, so he couldn't play. So he had no shot.
What position is that?
Houston, Cincinnati. Oh, he plays quarterback.
Oh, the bearded quarterback never played?
No, he didn't play, but the backup, who was supposed to be playing, had a torn pec muscle. But he didn't reveal it until after the game. I just don't know how you could be effective when your muscle's torn. How can you throw? But that was kind of ridiculous.
So what quarterback played for Texas?
The guy played, the backup guy, Ryan Mallett played. But he tore his muscle in his side, but he didn't tell anybody until after the game. So he used to have no chance. He couldn't throw the ball. He kept throwing the ball all over the place because if you don't have your muscles, I don't see how you can throw a ball properly.
But I thought we talked about the bearded quarterback. I thought you said he was playing.
No. He was benched. Brian's favorite bearded quarterback, as he likes all men with beards. He got benched because he stinks, and he wanted to try this other guy who's a young guy to see what they had. But he couldn't play. He had this torn muscle, and he's out for the season, which kind of screwed up that entire game. The guy, if he had just been honest with the coach, it might have been a different outcome. But he lied to him and said, I can't play. I can play, and he really couldn't. So that kind of screwed up that game. Green Bay was kind of in for a letdown, unfortunately. They won the game, but they didn't cover. They didn't really, I don't know. I think it was kind of a trap game for them because they just come off two big wins at home, and then this week they're playing New England at home. So I think it might have been tough for them to get up for Minnesota, even though it wasn't a division game. Seattle just crushed Arizona. Arizona was terrible in that game. That was brutal. I honestly thought it would be a closer game too, but Arizona looked lost, and their quarterback Stanton looked ridiculous. He was terrible.
So that leaves us on the overall with 20, 27, and 1.
That's right.
And the guarantees are 500, both at 6 and 6, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We've been really bad on the guarantees lately. I think we were like 6 and 3 or something at one point.
Yeah, you're on a streak.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The devil deals in threes. You're on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah, not too good. Hopefully we can turn it around, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
All right. For the correction. Let's have the combined picks for week 13. Danny D.
All right. The first combined pick this week is Arizona versus Atlanta. At Atlanta. Arizona's favored by 1.5 on the road. They're taking Arizona. I know they were terrible last week, but Atlanta has an awful defense. I think they're ranked 32nd against the pass. Larry Fitzgerald's going to be back this week, and I think will make a difference for them. And their defense is still good. It wasn't all their fault what happened in Seattle last week. They actually played a really good game. They sacked Russell Wilson 5 or 6 times, I believe. And Atlanta has a banged up offensive line. They've starting to lose at home. They never lost at home before, really, with Matt Ryan and Mike Smith. And they've lost 3 times, I think, at home this season. And they haven't won. And they're 0-7 outside their division. And I believe Arizona will be looking to get back on the horse here after that game last week against Seattle. So I really think Arizona can cover and will win this game. Won't be a high-scoring game because Arizona just doesn't score that much. But this could be like a 24-14 kind of game. And I think Arizona should cover this fairly easily against a banged-up Atlanta team. I think their defense is going to dominate.
All right, pick the Cardinals. Combined pick number 2.
All right.
Danny D.
This is Brian's first gut pick of the show.
That's what we need.
Yeah, that's right. It's a gut pick.
Put the final nail in the coffin here.
That's right. So I bring out the gut picks and the non-research, non-thinking picks. Just the all-out gut pick. We know how those usually work out for him. But anyway, his first gut pick today.
Well, if you bet against it, you're guaranteed to win. That's how it works out.
Yeah, that's right. Go against the gut. Remember that. Is Denver at Kansas City?
The gut flush.
The gut flush. I like that. Anyway, we're taking Denver -1 at Kansas City. This is an important game for Denver. They're going to get Julius Thomas back, which is going to help. I know Kansas City tends to play better at home, but Denver just seems to win at Kansas City, especially with Peyton Manning. He just wins there. I don't trust Andy Reid. They've had no receivers catch a touchdown pass, and this is going to be their 12th game of the season. They were beat up by Oakland last week, and I think Oakland kind of showed a defensive formula to play against Kansas City. They don't throw the ball deep at all. They just have nothing. They have no one to throw the ball deep to downfield. So Charles Woodson, who was the safety, was playing within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage the entire game, and he blitzed a lot. And it completely destroyed Kansas City's running game, which hence destroyed their play-action game. But they don't throw the ball downfield anyway. So I would expect Denver to try to do some of the same things with their defense and play Harris Jr., I think, is the safety in the box, and commit to stopping the run, knowing that they're not going to be beaten over the top by Kansas City's offense. Kansas City's offense, it doesn't score a lot. Alex Smith isn't great. And I think Peyton Manning got back on a roll last week against Miami with that comeback victory. So I think Denver's going to win this game and should cover that spread. So it's a low spread. It's only 1. I think they can win by more than that, maybe a touchdown. At Kansas City, their defense is good. I know Kansas City's defense can get pressure, but I think having Julius Thomas back and by establishing C.J. Anderson last week really helped Denver. I think Denver has a more complete offense right now because they really found the way to run the ball. So I think they have the advantage, and I would take Denver.
Where's Kansas at in terms of needing a win?
They need a win too, but I just don't think they're that good of a team. I mean, they're very defensive heavy. Their offense just is terrible. They can't do anything. They really don't know what kind of scheme they want to run. It seems like sometimes.
The Andy Reid honeymoon is over?
Not over yet because they might make the playoffs again. But he needs some better players. I mean, this really reminds me of the Eagles from back like around 1999, 2000, 2001, when they had a real pedestrian offense and a good defense. It got them in the playoffs, but they didn't really win anything because they couldn't go downfield, and defenses could take a lot of that stuff away. And they don't have the running backs they have 2 good running backs. And back then, the Eagles had 3 good running backs, and they could move them around. They don't really move around Charles that much. Their offense is just too predictable. They have no downfield threat, either at the tight end, the slot receiver, or the outside receiver position. I mean, that's what it says when none of them score any touchdowns. How can you have a receiver not score a touchdown at this point in the season? It's very bizarre.
So combined picks are the Cardinals and Broncos. Are you showing your solidarity with the Cause by wearing the Cause sweater?
That's right.
Is that kind of a thing going on in Philly now to show your solidarity with the Cause?
No. Everyone wants to get rid of him. For all his dastardly deeds that he's done. No.
Cause sweaters are flying off the shelf now because people want to go out and support the Cause, huh?
Well, what's interesting, though, is that Temple University hasn't separate themselves from him yet, which I think is kind of interesting.
Unlike every other university that he was associated with already has.
Yeah, no, but they're still silent on the subject, and I think that's kind of weird. You think they would want us to say, "All right, we don't want anything to do with this guy anymore." Oh,
Maybe that's where he was. That's where he was getting some of his ladies.
I think it's where
From Temple.
I think it's where he's getting some of his drugs. It was around there. Oh man, North Philly. My goodness, what's the Andy Reid's kids used to go sell drugs there. But yeah, I mean, he's probably getting all his stuff there and then going and raping 17 women.
What's his? He graduated from Temple.
I guess. I don't forget. I think so. I know he has at least one honorary degree from them. I think he might have got his undergrad there. And I think he got something else from somewhere else. Something like a master's from UMass or something. But he's a Philadelphia guy. He grew up around here. He actually bought a house for his mother. That was maybe like it was about, I don't know, a mile away from where I grew up. It was this big compound that had a fence around it. I guess there's
Well, it's a good thing they didn't prematurely give him a statue.
Yeah, right. Put it right.
It would be in the same storage yard with the Joe Pa statue.
That's right. It would be right there. The Joe Pa statue.
Somebody's got to open a museum of those old statues, the shame statues.
I think there's only one so far. There's only one.
I know. It's a start. That's a start. You got to start somewhere.
They don't have the Bill Cosby statue.
No, I mean, they toppled that Saddam Hussein statue in Iraq. I'm sure we could get like a Stalin statue.
Yeah, maybe.
A nice collection started there already.
That's right. History of shame. Here's our best.
The Hall of Shame.
Yeah, that's right.
That'd be awesome. Don't steal my idea now.
You ever see those commercials on TV for that FanDuel? And they have like their Hall of Fame and they have their statues of people doing stuff. It's like the same thing, except instead of having the winners of their $1 million, you'll have people who've done terrible things.
Exactly. We'll have an inductee ceremony.
That's right. You can give Brian a job there.
That's right.
He can have one for his old coach, Hensel.
Oh, that's right. All right, a word from our sponsor.
San Miguel beer, please. Great move.
Great beer.
We are back for week 13. Are you for real? Love that. Danny D.
All right, my week 13 you for real are the New York Jets. They played the Buffalo Bills last week, or if you want to call it that, played. They lost 38-3, I believe the final score was. Buffalo couldn't practice all week because there was 100 feet of snow in Buffalo. And the Jets could practice. And the Jets had an extra day because the game got rescheduled from Sunday to Monday, and they still got destroyed. Someone needs to explain to me how this happened. The Bills couldn't practice. They had to move from Buffalo to Detroit, and they still kicked their ass. It was terrible. I mean, one play, Bryce Brown, I think it was. No, Dixon was a running back, was coming in on a block punt. It was a one-man block punt attempt, and he still blocked it. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
They only had one player rushing the punt, and he still blocked it?
Yes. Yeah, one guy, and they still blocked it. And they scored a touchdown that was in the end zone. It was unbelievable. The effort was horrible. Michael Vick got hurt. Geno Smith came in and looked awful again. It was just ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. How can your team be... And the Jets were coming off a bye, too. I should add that. They had 2 weeks plus an extra day to prepare for this game. They could practice where the Bills couldn't, and they still got crushed by 35 points. That was the most unbelievably pathetic effort I've ever seen. That was horrible.
They're saying now that the decision that Rex Ryan knew he was getting fired before the season even started. I saw something about that.
Oh, I didn't see that. I just think he knows he's getting fired now. I mean, they gave him an extension after last season for some reason, but he's done. I mean, that team is terrible. They're 2-9. Supposedly there's a power struggle here. They wanted to start Vic, but then the owner wants them to start Geno Smith, and there's a real disconnect there. I mean, all these guys are going to be gone. I mean, they're talking about Geno Smith could be gone. The Jets might draft a quarterback in the top 5 of the draft next year with whoever the new coach is. But just to have the team completely unprepared against a team that couldn't even practice is incredible.
What amazes me is that Rex Ryan will get another job, won't he?
Yeah, I think he will. Part of it is not all his fault. I mean, part of it is the dysfunction of the revolving door of general managers that he's had. He has Marty Mornhinweg, who I think I've mentioned many times on the show, is a complete idiot as an offensive coordinator.
Well, we know that.
Yeah, he's terrible. As you say, once a lion, always a lion. He was terrible. And the owner is kind of a moron. You know, he's not quite in the Dan Snyder kingdom of being a moron, but he doesn't really seem to get it. And you know, it's not good when you have a fight between the coaches and the management of who should start at quarterback. There needs to be an agreement. I mean, the whole team was constructed very well. The receivers are bad. I mean, the other part that kind of hurt them was half their defense got hurt. But just the fact that you have a bye week and the other team can't practice and you're still unprepared is just incredible. Just incredible to me.
Well, they've already got Marty Mornhinweg. Why don't they bring in Matt Millen, too? He'll fix it.
You know, I saw him on TV the other day.
What's he doing?
He does college football. He's an analyst.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess he figured he can't screw that up.
Hilarious.
That's right. Bring back Matt Millen.
That's right.
Oh, man, they get the whole band back together.
He drove old man Ford to his grave without a Super Bowl.
Oh, wow. The Lions have never been to the Super Bowl.
And they never will under Bill Ford. He's 6 feet under now.
Yeah, well, his son is doing a fine job of maintaining the family legacy. They got lucky, though. They won this week against the stupid Bears. But I still think that might be a sinking ship.
I don't know. They're going to make the playoffs, don't you think?
Well, it was good that they won, and it helped that the 49ers lost on Thursday. That helps them a lot.
Except they forgot one thing. I can dodge bullets, baby.
I don't know what that was.
What the hell was that?
All right.
Oh, that was fun.
Guaranteed pick. Big Danny D.
All right. The Big D guarantee this week is Cincinnati minus 3.5 at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay this is strange. They've beaten the 2 AFC North teams they played on the road, who was they beat Cleveland, I believe, and they beat Pittsburgh. But at home, they got absolutely obliterated by Baltimore. Baltimore scored 35 points in the first half against Tampa Bay. And Cincinnati has played really well. Their defense is playing really well. And I think Andy Dalton's going to have a field day against Tampa Bay defense. I mean, their last game against Chicago, they were awful. They couldn't score. They were incompetent. They kept turning the ball over. They have 2 quarterbacks nobody likes. Both of them are going to be gone. Lovie Smith is beside himself. He was just look on his face last week. He had no idea why he was even there. He was just looking at like, why am I here? It was like a cold, miserable day in Chicago. I think there was a little snow, and they're just like, ugh. But I think Cincinnati's going to rip them. A.J. Green looked great last week against Houston. I think they might get a couple of their defensive players back. I don't think Tampa Bay can handle their defensive front. And I also think that Cincinnati's going to be able to score at will against Tampa Bay. I think it's a good spread. It's only 3.5, which says something about Cincinnati being the road team. But Tampa Bay's just been awful at home. Awful. So I go with Cincinnati. I like what they're doing. I probably shouldn't have picked them against them last week, but they've won 2 or 3 in a row here, and they've played very well. Their defense is starting to come together again after a lull in the middle of the season.
There you have it. Big Danny D guarantee. Now the big Buru B guarantee. He said that he didn't want us to mock him in his absence on the show, and I promised him that we would mock him in his absence. So let's not close out the show without missing that low-flying target of opportunity.
Oh, sure. Definitely not. Well, I mean, this was another gut pick, obviously, his guarantee pick. But
of course it was.
Yeah. Well,
he reached down to his ass and he pulled it out.
That's right.
This is what you get.
That's right. As he was sifting through the trash in his apartment, trying to find some old pizza on the floor made from 2 or 3 weeks ago to eat for breakfast this morning. It's still good. I'll just wipe off the green off the top.
Sick.
I mean, he once said that it's important that every single male should only have ketchup and chocolate syrup in his refrigerator, and that's it.
Sad.
It's ridiculous. I
know how to fix his. I know how to clean out his microwave. Take it and throw it in the garbage. Buy a new one.
Yeah.
And then it'll take about a week, and then that one will be ready for the garbage.
Yeah. And he's very proud of his new used puffy coat that his sister gave him.
No, he said he went to get this is the modern day Charlie Brown, right? His sister said to come over. She bought him a coat. So he gets over there. He finds out it's a used coat. It's not even a new coat. So it's probably a coat that like someone left in the bar. And then he puts the coat on the way home. The zipper breaks on it. So now he has a coat that won't zip up for the winter. Modern day Charlie Brown.
Yeah, because he lost his other coat at a bar last year. This past February, he lost it.
So now he has a zipperless winter coat.
That happened before.
From a homeless guy.
That's right. Some homeless guy died in that coat. He had one like that before. He had like a George Costanza Gore-Tex puffy coat, and that was the zipper broke. He had to throw that one away. He actually wore that one, so it was like 75 degrees that day, and he wore that coat for some reason. It's very strange. He was all red when he came to work. And everyone's looking at him.
From wearing a coat when it was too hot?
Yeah, it was like 80, and he was wearing a coat. He didn't realize. He doesn't watch the news or the weather, so he didn't really know what's going on. He doesn't believe in watching.
Well, let's have Buru B gut pick of the week.
All right, the big Buru's gut pick, number 2, or ass pick, depending on how you look at it, is Pittsburgh at home versus New Orleans. Pittsburgh's favored by -5. New Orleans has been really awful lately. They've lost 3 in a row at home. I don't know what's going on, really. They've just lost their mojo. There used to be this synergic relationship between Peyton and Breeze. They just somehow put it together, and they would come back and win these games and put up points, especially at home, but it doesn't exist. They've been bad. I think they abandon the run too often, and their defense has just been – they get killed on the blitz. And by the way, Brian believes a defensive coordinator should blitz on every single play, which is obviously ridiculous. But Rob Ryan was after getting destroyed on a safety blitz he kept running last week, and there was a void, and Baltimore kept hitting it a couple times for very big plays. Pittsburgh's coming off a bye. They're at home. They somehow struggled against an awful Titans team the last game that they played. We all know how much the Titans suck. But they're at home, coming off a bye week, and I think they have the advantage against a New Orleans team that played on Monday night, so they're coming off a short week, and they've really struggled, and I think they're going to start questioning each other. They're 4-7. I mean, obviously it might take another one win to win that division because it's so awful. But Pittsburgh should win the game. They have to win by a touchdown, covers. I think the weather's going to be okay, though, so it's not. I don't think that's really going to be a factor. We'll have to see what happens. I don't trust New Orleans right now. I don't like the way they're playing. I don't like what's going on. I think you could see on the sideline last week there was a pretty animated argument between Sean Payton and Rob Ryan after a defensive substitution problem. So you can see there's some friction there. I wonder if there's a friction between the offense and defense because the defense just isn't getting a job done. So I'm just really curious to see what happens. I bet Peyton's going to make some big changes after the season to the coaching staff. I wouldn't be shocked if Rob Ryan's out in the unemployment line with his brother. Even though he deserves more credit.
Package deal.
Yeah, that's right. You get both Ryans.
Morningwig, Ryan, and Ryan.
That's right. Anyway, the old gut says to go with Pittsburgh this week, so that's what we're going with.
We also have a sponsor for Brian's pick this week. It's brought to you by GasX.
Letting the air out of the gut.
Yes.
Well, it does look like a hot air balloon.
It was supposed to be a fart.
No, that's a good one. It's a fart. I'm just saying his gut's like a hot air balloon.
Oh.
All the hot air that comes out of his mouth and his ass. Oh, man.
Amazing.
Yeah, I make fun of him every week whenever the Eagles win because he like.
No, I was gonna say make sure whenever he wears the zipperless coat to work, you tell people so everybody can ask him why he doesn't zip his coat. Because he's gonna wear it.
Oh, he wore it on last week on Wednesday. He wore it.
Yeah, you got to set everyone up to ask him why he doesn't zip it.
Yeah, I mean, especially that day was nasty. It was a nasty day on Wednesday. It was rainy and cold and miserable.
He actually said to me, he was dead serious. He actually said to me, maybe he could duct tape it. Maybe he could duct tape his coat shut.
Oh, my God.
He was dead serious, too.
Homeless people do that. You take it to a shoemaker or someone, usually or a dry cleaner. They can usually fix zippers. They'll fix it for him. There's a dry cleaner right down the street from his apartment. It's like, I don't know, 2 blocks away from his apartment. There's a dry cleaner. You go there.
That's a bridge too far for the big B.
I guess so. Man, because, he always complains about having to walk 4 miles every day to the train station, and he has to battle animals and traffic and, airplanes and whatever. You think you'd want a coat that it works.
I'll tell you what, there may have been some truth to him being afraid of animals after that guy in Jersey just got eaten by a bear the other day.
That was a long time ago.
That was like last week.
That's right. Some guy got eaten by a bear. Yeah, but where Brian lives is a heavily populated area. I don't think you're going to get too many bears eating people. They don't want to go there. It's weird. He hears noises and stuff. He's walking through the woods. I don't know what woods there are on the way home. It's like
it's the Jersey Devil.
Maybe it's coming after him. It wants his zipperless coat.
So there you have the week 13, is it?
Yeah.
Picks. The combined picks being Broncos, Cardinals, both away. The big Danny D guarantee. The Bengals going into the loser bucks. What's that? Ed Smith What's that stadium?
Ed Smith is the Pirate or the Tigers spring training stadium.
Oh,
I think.
never mind. That's the Orioles.
Oh, the Orioles.
The Orioles spring training. What's Edwin James? Is that it?
Raymond James.
Raymond James. Yeah, going into Raymond
Is
James.
it still called that?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
and the Steelers at home against Drew Brees and the downhill sliding Saints. The Saints are not out of it yet, though, are they?
No, nobody's out of it. Even your Bucks there aren't out of it, technically.
Oh, that's right. Mathematically, nobody's out of it yet.
Yeah, because all those teams are so horrible. I mean, they could all lose this week, and it really doesn't matter. That's how pathetic that division is.
What's the division? Is that the division where the first place team is like 4-7 or something?
Yeah. Yeah, the Saints and the Falcons are both 4-7. Then you have...
And they're in first place.
Yeah. Yeah, then a half game back, you have Carolina at 3-7-1. Then you have your Bucks at 2-9. They're only 2 games back.
Well, I heard it said that's why they need to expand the playoffs because, with with the division structure, that teams can be 4-7 and be in first place.
Yeah, they're thinking about adding a 7th team because last year you get a situation where you have Arizona who was 10-6 and didn't make the playoffs, and you get a situation like that again out west where one of those 3 teams is probably not going to make it, either San Francisco, Seattle, or Arizona. Even though Arizona's probably going to make it, and since Seattle beat San Francisco, they're going to probably make it, especially if they beat San Francisco again. But then you have Detroit. Detroit could possibly be left out. So, or Dallas even. It depends on what happens. But it's a problem. What they would do is only the top seed would get a bye, and then the other 6 teams would play each other wild card weekend, and then the lowest seeded team would play the bye week team. So that's how they would do it.
So they would build in another week to the playoffs?
No, just during wild card weekend. Instead of having the bottom 4 teams play each other now, because the way it is, you have 6 now, the bottom 4 play each other in the wild card weekend, then the top 2 seeds have a bye. Instead, the number 2 seed would have to play the number 7 seed in the first round, and only the top seed would get a bye. And then and then those teams will just play again next week. That's all. I wouldn't add.
So you'd have 3 games on wild card week.
Yes, 3 instead of 2. It would add 2 more games to the schedule. That's
it would add revenue and everything else. So what's holding up that decision?
I don't know. Supposedly some of the players don't like playing an extra game, but that's kind of ridiculous since most of them would be playing that week anyway.
They're going to have to take away a preseason game or something.
Nah, they're not going to do that. That's only if they'd add games to the season, because the owners want to have an 18-game regular season instead of a 16. But they would have to take away at least 1 preseason game in order to do that. And I think add an extra bye week too during the season. But
I don't know if there's any wiggle room in the contract for that, the players union.
Supposedly the owners have the right to try to make it up to a 22-game regular season, which would really be bad. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, really, realistically, it's all about money. If you throw money at the problem, the players will give in for anything because they don't care.
Yeah, let's put teams in Europe and let's have a 22-game season. Yeah, right. So then it'll be like 50% of all college players would go to the pros. There'd be so many jobs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know.
Even the Temple Owl players would get to the NFL.
Hey, there's some good Temple Owl players in the NFL. What's his name? Muhammad Wilkerson for the Jets. He's a Pro Bowler. Went to Temple. He's a good player. Defensive end in their defense. He's good. Once in a while, there's a gem.
That's right.
Once in a while, you get a gem from a pile of shit. It happens. No, but your point is well taken, though. It is kind of ridiculous. All these stupid ideas. They want more money. That's what it's all about. And they have no other way of expanding revenues anymore. They've kind of maxed it out with what they have. They can't expand anymore. I mean, they want to put a team in Los Angeles. There's been a lot of talk this season about either the Rams, the Raiders, or the Chargers ending up in Los Angeles as soon as next season, possibly.
Why don't they send Jacksonville over there?
That might be the team that ends up in London. as stupid as that might be. But the Rams and the Raiders have a history in Los Angeles, and the owner of the Rams has bought a lot of land in Los Angeles over the past couple of years to build a stadium, possibly. So we'll see. Plus, I think they have easier leases to get out of than Jacksonville does. Even though Jacksonville, that's just a waste of time having a team in such a small market.
That's it. So this week's picks are Broncos, Cardinals, Bengals, Steelers. As always,
score with Big Pick 4.